G'day guys, M8T5 here, and today I'll be reviewing Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones is a point-and-click drama adventure fantasy game that was developed by Telltale Games that I reviewed on the PlayStation 4. This is yet another episodic series Telltale Games is taking on, as they have in the past with The Walking Dead and the Tales from the Borderlands. So if you have been living under a rock and haven't heard of Game of Thrones, I'll just briefly explain the series in the simplest way possible. Game of Thrones is a book series known as A Song of Ice and Fire, which was written by George R.R. Martin, with the very first book being named Game of Thrones. Along with a handful of books, the series has also been adapted to a television series known as Game of Thrones. I cannot for the life of me explain the plot easily, but in very simple terms, the series takes place in a fictional world of Westeros and Essos, in which a number of family houses are at war with each other, with a huge cast of characters and so many gut-wrenching events. This series rips your heart out, trust me. So Telltale's game is apparently set at the end of Season 3 of the TV series, so it's hard to actually discuss this game, but hopefully I'm not giving away any spoilers. So the first episode in the game series is called Iron from Ice, where we are introduced to House Forrester, a house that actually isn't seen in the show and is only briefly mentioned in the book series. There are 3 playable characters in this episode, and by the end you have encountered brutal battles, new and familiar faces, and most importantly, extremely difficult decisions. So far after finishing the episode, the basic rundown of the plot is this family is just trying to keep it together and survive through the raging war and events, but of course shit hits the fan and hits it hard, multiple times. So this may not be a very good rundown of the plot, but I like to avoid spoilers, and when it comes to Game of Thrones, nobody speaks of spoilers. It results in death. But anyways, let's get to my overall impression about the new game series and the first episode, Iron from Ice. I really like how they set up the story with this game series, being a side story alongside the main story from the book and TV series. This way, Telltale Games have opportunities to make their own creative decisions while also respecting the story of the series. I enjoyed the new cast of characters, except maybe Ethan. He is one of the playable characters. I just felt his voice acting a bit wimpy.
My apologies. Please forgive us.
But I think that's what they were going for, you know, he's a young kid and he's supposed to be not too tough and all that kind of stuff, but he just didn't fully click with me. However, I really did enjoy playing as him because he has some of the most difficult decisions in the game. So of course, as with previous Telltale games, the gameplay is made up of story-based gameplay with quick time action events. So when there is any kind of conflict in the game, it's pretty much just a chain of quick time events. I was actually quite surprised that this first episode was more about the conversations rather than the action, but I didn't find that to be a bad thing because these conversations are more brutal than any battle. I thought The Walking Dead was difficult. I think Game of Thrones will take the trophy for difficult decision making. Every conversation felt like it had a purpose, and when those choices kept popping up on my screen, I had to keep thinking twice about them multiple times. If you are a fan of the series, then you'll understand that this is an unforgiving world, and it definitely shows in this game, and you have to actually play them out. I also have to mention one of my personal highlights of the game, being able to chat with Tyrion and bag out Cersei. That guy. Even if it was just for a minute or two, it was awesome. So this game is a success for most of the time, without a doubt, but there were a few things that did bother me about this game. First of all, the visuals. The character models at times just felt a bit lacking in detail. But the worst offender is the backgrounds and the environments. They are sort of made up with a water brush effect, which in theory sounds stylish, but I don't know what the hell they did to it to make it look like that. The background either looks really blurry, or it looks as if it's in low resolution. It's just plain ugly. Also, this isn't so much of a criticism, but more of a warning. You have to know your Game of Thrones to know what the hell is going on in this game. I myself, I'm not a book fan, but I have kept up with the TV series, and honestly, that is hard enough. And I have the same problem in this game. And unfortunately, this also affects some decision making in the game. I had a hard time understanding some of the conversations, and then I had to respond to them, which usually resulting with me making a bad decision. This could just be me, but this series, not bloody simple. So overall, Telltale's Game of Thrones is shaping up to be one of the most brutal story games of the year, and I am very interested to see how the series continues. If only the game looked better in places, more detail here and there, that's all, and just a little trouble with the conversations. So I give Game of Thrones a 9 out of 10. This is seriously good storytelling that the series as a whole is known for, and to be able to actually take part in this world is brutal but in a good way. I'm excited to see what comes out of this series. I hope to see more familiar faces along the way as well, and I'm sure there will be some more hard decisions to make. If you enjoyed Game of Thrones, I also had the opportunity to review Tales from the Borderlands, and I also recommend The Walking Dead. So if you want comedic gold with some awesome action scenes, have a go at Tales from the Borderlands, and if you want difficult decisions among a zombie outbreak, have a go at the Walking Dead series. Man, Telltale Games are on a bloody roll. So what did you guys think of Telltale Games' Game of Thrones? Do you think it respects the series, and did you have trouble with decisions? And if you have any questions about the game, but no spoilers, leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you. And if you like this review, remember to like me on Facebook or subscribe to me on YouTube if you want to see more. And thank you very much guys for watching my Game of Thrones review. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's a great game from Telltale Games. They are on a bloody roll. They know how to make a good story and a very entertaining ride. Alright, MAT5 is bloody out here.